How many of you would live in this house? Okay. How many of you would live in this house? Imagine I was walking down a river and I had my beautiful mother with me. My mother is 42. And let's say as I'm walking down the river, my iPhone, it falls in the river. Now, I may be tempted to jump in the river, but I'm like, it's an iPhone, right? But let's say I was walking down that same river and my mother fell in the river. Now I have a bigger reason to jump in the water because my mother is in the water. Here's the question I have for you. Why do you jump in the water every single day? Why do you show up every single day of the year to help some knucklehead kids that are not your own? Why do you jump in the water? So that's the question I want you guys to think about. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? Has anybody been in this industry for 40 years? Stand up, ma'am, 30 years or more? 30 years or more? Come on, y'all, put y'all hands for these people, yes. Yes, come here for a second. Come on up here real quick, come on up here. What's your name? Christy. Y'all say, hey, Christy. Christy, why do you continue to jump in the water?
I love kids.
You love kids?
I do.
Cool, y'all give it up for Christy. Y'all give it up for Christy. I'm gonna ask you a question. How many of you would live in this house? Okay. How many of you would live in this house? Oh, now y'all being funny, y'all being chill. Got too many options. All right, here's a better question. How many of you would pay the bills in this house? I'll pay the gas bill, you pay the other bills. How many of you would pay the bills in this house? And we still can go half on the gas bill. Let me ask you a question. How many of your schools look like house number one? How many of your schools look like house number two? Listen, I know y'all boss in the room and stuff, your boss may be here, but I need you to be honest. All right, let me go back. How many of your school's policies, rules, curriculums, standards look like this house? A few people? Y'all don't want to be honest. Uh-oh. How many of your school's policies, standards, curriculums, programs look like this? Y'all scared? Y'all don't even want to vote. Y'all don't want to vote. Who says your policies look like this? Come here, ma'am. Gotcha. Come on stage. Come. She said, don't be afraid. What's your name?
Stevie.
Stevie.
Yes.
Y'all give it up for Stevie. Stevie, yeah. So Stevie, your school and your policy look like house one or house two?
House two. Yeah.
House two, cool. What's your last name?
Davis.
Stevie Davis. What school do you work with? Let's say you worked at Stevie Davis Academy. If you worked at Stevie Davis Academy, which one of your school will look like this, the programs, the policies, or will look like this?
Hopefully house one.
House one.
Yeah.
Stevie Davis Academy.
Yeah.
Here's the question I ask everyone. If the name of the school changes to your name, would you do things differently in your school? And I believe you would. And here's the thing that I'm challenging you to do is to take ownership of your school. See, when you take ownership of your school, you do things differently. You don't drive your car the same way you drive that rental car. You don't leave trash in your car the same way you leave trash in that rental car. Today, I'm encouraging everyone to change the name of their school and get it to a place where you take ownership of it. Cool? Y'all show some love for Stevie Davis Academy. So there's this great philosopher. Her name is Beyonce. And a few years ago, she had this poem, and it was an amazing quote. And the quote said, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. Y'all remember that song? But here's a question I have for you. If you can think of an educator that made impact in your life as a student growing up, if you can see the name and name the name in your mind of 10 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see their first name and their last name, 10 educators that directly impacted you that you can remember, stand up. If you can see the faces, if you can name the name of 9 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see the face and name the name of 8 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see the faces and name the names of at least 7 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see the faces and name the names of at least 6 educators that impacted you, stand up. Wow. If you can see the faces and name the names of at least 5 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see the faces and name the names of exactly 4 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see the faces and name the names of at least 3 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see the faces and name the names of at least 2 educators that impacted you, stand up. If you can see the faces and name the names of at least 1 educator that impacted you, stand up. You know, Beyonce said she's irreplaceable. But here's the question I have for you. Are you unforgettable? Imagine if I did this exact same survey with a bunch of students, your students, in the next 10 to 20 years. I asked the question, will they remember your name or will you be forgettable?